you don't see the other side. You see yourself and you see you tired, you see with problems, you start to see the negative aspects of you, and you're not putting yourself like, the guy has the same problems. He has the same ideas, so you have to keep going here as everything is normal. And it's hard to people relate to that. When you start to get in the problems, you start to see yourself bigger than the other ones, more problems and more. And that's not going to be the right way to resolve the matter.
It's interesting that you figured out how to handle these things on your own, too, because this is it's an area that fighters seek psychological help with now. They hire psychologists and they get hypnotized and they do all these different things to try to figure out how to stop that negative conversation in the mind, how to stop those negative voices, and how to not give in to that weakness that wants you to quit.
Yes, this power we all have within. But some people don't even go for that, and they seek for different people to help them, which is good too. But once you become more intuitive, when you become more enlightened with your own potential, you're able to resolve all the matters yourself, because it's all about your mindset. It's how you think and how you believe and what you're ready for and what you prepare for and how you're able to accept and surrender everything around you.
And that these moments where you do want to quit, whether it's in training or in competition, for people who understand that and have experienced that and have overcome it, life becomes easier.
Yes, I think, martial arts, when it's practiced with a complete idea, is a metaphor for life. You become a good martial artist, you become a good person, you're going to become a happy person because you want to be able to conquer your happiness outside of the mat.
And to deal with your demons.
Yes.
And some people never fight those demons. So when something happens to them in life, some adversity comes up, they're not accustomed to handling it.
Yes.
And we're seeing a lot of that now with this pandemic. We're seeing a lot of people freaking out because they've never really experienced any true adversity in their life.
Yes, no, it's not only for that, but because they don't ever thought about how to resolve those problems. They just thinking the problem is there, what I'm going to do, but they don't thinking about how I can control the situation, how I can be on top of this, how I can, just defend myself from those demons. And if you don't see the perspective of how I can resolve my problems, you allow yourself to put your problems in somebody else's hands to resolve for you. And it's all about perspective. It's all about focus.
You've had a really extraordinary life, and it's so unusual. Your position, like what happened to you as a young man, having your father, Helio Gracie, who's one of the most important people in the history of martial arts, to be raised by a man like that, and to be raised in the Gracie family, the most important family in the history of martial arts, in my opinion. It's pretty incredible. If you do you stop sometimes to think about how unusual and how fortunate for your life it was to be in that position?
Was like it's always been special and different. Being a Gracie, since I understand myself, because I get gi before I get diapers. So I was a special, person and a special family. And my father's friends say, oh, you're going to be a fighter too, you're going to be a champion too. So you become a Gracie even before you understand what it is. And you use kimonos, you play on the garden and wrestle everybody and play and able to throw, be able to fall, able to choke. So you start to get in that environment where fighting is normal, is recreational. You get in the environment where being a Gracie, you eat well, you be in a diet from day one. You don't drink Coca-Colas, you don't take, chocolates, ice creams. It's just about healthy stuff, carrot juices and salads and soups and this. So I've been created to become somebody special. And when you become knowledgeable about being Gracie, you start to put yourself in a line of, You know, one day I'm going to be the fighter. One day I'm going to be the representative. So all my life I was training hard with my brothers, seeking to become better than them, to get their spot or to represent in the family. And I was noticed I was talented in a very early age, and I was love competing, very competitive, and was just a great journey to become more confident in my style, more important in the family to represent. So it was just a bumpy road which have me create better strength, better mindset, better spiritual guidance.
What is it like to have grown up in that environment and then move to America and just teach Americans and teach people that are like hobbyists and just want to try it and train every now and then? Is that satisfying? Or does it frustrate you sometimes that people don't have the same level of commitment? Because jiu-jitsu obviously is life to you. It's a very significant aspect of your being.
Yes, jiu-jitsu, it was exposed to me as an art form, as something our business, our way to express ourselves. My father always with gi, showing things, and in the academy, and my brothers and myself, I start to become like, I want to be a teacher too. So being a instructor, being a jiu-jitsu representative was not only for fighting. The fighting actually was just the back, is on the secondary level. You're not there to fight anybody. It's not there to challenge anybody. You're there to just teach. And if somebody say, yeah, but I believe box can, okay, let's fight. Oh, but I believe judo can, so let's fight. So whatever style come up with the idea, capoeira, whatever style come up with the idea, he could face a jiu-jitsu fighter. So let's prove jiu-jitsu is better, and let's keep teaching jiu-jitsu. And in the teaching aspect, completely different than the representativity and the fighting aspect, jiu-jitsu has always been a soft art. We always can accept and create strength on the weaker people. Jiu-jitsu is art for the weaker. My father, who developed a better jiu-jitsu than the one he learns with my uncle Carlos, he developed a better jiu-jitsu because he could not do one pull-up and one push-up. He was weak. He was forbidden to do exercise up to 16 years old. He could not do anything. No ride bikes.
Why?
Because he has vertigo.
Oh.
He was very skinny, very nervous, and if he ran a little bit, he passed out. So he was very weak. So from 13 years old, when my uncle Carlos opened the first Jiu-Jitsu Academy in 1925 in Brazil, to 16 years old, he was sitting on the corner watching my uncle teach. He could not train. He was there just watching and memorizing all the lines, watching all the techniques. And then one day, a student arrived before my uncle Carlos arrived. And my father said, "Mister, if you want, I can put the gi and practice with you until my brother arrives." So they start to play a little bit. And when my uncle Carlos arrived at the school, the student said to Carlos, "Carlos, I like to keep training with Hélio because he's so talented. I love to practice with him." So that way, my father started to engage on the practice of jiu-jitsu. But a regular choke, which was taught with the choke like this, using the strength of the arms, he could not do. So he had to get together and use the chest, which represents 10 or 15 more times powerful, with more leverage and less effort. So we normally say Hélio Gracie is to jiu-jitsu as Einstein is to physics. He's a creator, he's an inventor. He starts to adding leverage and angles for him to be able to do it, which transcends the physicality he learns. So with that, my father started adding techniques and angles, and actually I believe the guard of jiu-jitsu was developed not from Maeda, not from Carlos Gracie, but from Hélio Gracie, who could not have another option to fight. The only option he has is to fall on the bottom and fight. So he has an excellent defensive guard. He has strikes and ability to hurt from the bottom. and the ability to cook the guy in slow burn until the guy get defeated, either get tired or get choked or something. So my father developed a combat format from the bottom, which was not there until him show up in the jiu-jitsu scenario. So the techniques and the development we put on the jiu-jitsu makes our jiu-jitsu be accessible for weaker persons. So the weaker, he feels good because he don't have to use power. Oh, just the angle here. So we empower the students. One time I started to help my brother, Horion, to teach. I was about 12, 13 years old. Because at the same time I said to my dad, Dad, I don't want to go to school anymore. And he said, okay, you don't want to go to school. I cannot force you to do that. But don't ask me for money. I'm going to give you house, I'm going to give you food, but you make your own money. I said, okay, I'm going to help Horion to teach, and he can give me some money. And in my mind, I was set. So I was helping Horion to teach. And then I asked my dad, said, Dad, what I should do to become the best teacher I can be? And he said, if you want to be a good teacher, you learn the arm lock, and you teach a good arm lock and make sure the guy knows how to do it tight enough and perfect arm lock. If you want to be an excellent teacher, you have to see what the students need to learn. With that advice, he gave me something which is not only the physicality of the sport, but also the psychology aspect. Because sometimes you see a guy who is lazy and just... So you have to wake him up. So let's go, do this, respond. So increase your reflexes, increase the capacity for him to be connected. If you see the guy too aggressive, too tense, too nervous, you should, hey man, relax, breathe, take your time, do slow. So educate the guy to be able to control his emotions and his aggressiveness and become more peaceful. So anyone has a different particular way to learn better or to get a better information. Jiu-Jitsu can favor everybody in different ways, no matter if you're aggressive, no matter if you're mean. So with this being said, I was there to teach Jiu-Jitsu. I was there to just help people in a way to empower them. And I also there in a different road to represent Jiu-Jitsu, to fight anyone. So I was not getting in a camp to fight. If I have to fight, I just take my gi and go. I was always in shape, I was always practice, I was always training, but it was not exactly a preparation for a fight. I feel like I have to be ready because if the guy called me to go to fight on the beach right now, I have to go. So be ready was part of the game. Not being an athlete, but being a martial artist. So all those concepts differ from today's attitude towards the practice and the training. And also, some people who are competitors, they cannot teach beginners or be nice with, because they just fight too hard and they have to focus too hard on the training. Either you stay on their boat or he cannot go and help somebody else in a different atmosphere. For me, it was always, I can fight the worst guys that is today. Tomorrow I'm going to be teaching some old lady or some guy, and I keep myself focused on the leverage, on the angles, on the details. So all this gives me a sense of being a dual, not only a good teacher, but also a good fighter.
It's so amazing when you stop and think about the fact that your father was had such a unique circumstance in terms of being small and also, being there with Carlos when he was teaching those classes. But that the fact that he was small and that he learned leverage and learned to maximize these techniques, it became the most important aspect of jiu-jitsu. To this day, when I talk to people, I always say, like, the best instructors, it seems like a lot of them are smaller people, because those smaller people, they can't muscle their way out of these things.
Yes.
Like sometimes when you get a really big, strong guy, they can use too much physical strength. But the small guys, they don't have that option, so everything has to be technical. It has to be precise. It has to be perfect.
Yes. There's no arguments against techniques and timing and connection. So the ideas of learning jiu-jitsu properly is for sure the right way. But some people, they strong, and they try to compensate the lack of speed or movement with the strength. So they create their own pattern, their own way to fight, because they can afford to waste energy, because they have it. My father couldn't. So sometimes they say, oh, I don't care too much about little details because I can make it up with this way.
So underrepresented. And then when we started gaining momentum, I was like, okay, what the hell else can I do? I'm calling my senators, I'm calling my representatives, I'm establishing contacts with their staff, I'm talking to them about how important this is, I'm asking them what else we can do, trying to build these bridges for this goal of protecting my public lands that I love, right? We're working with all these nonprofit groups are coming together, even groups that traditionally don't focus on public land access issues, you know, like your Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation, who has done a bunch of stuff for access, but, you know, they have an elk on their logo. They're the elk people. And then Pheasants and Quail Forever, they're the Pheasants and Quail people. National Wild Turkey Federation, they're the turkey people. But they started being like, uh-oh, this is real serious. And then we started getting all these people in the same room together, sharing information instead of being competitive. And then businesses started coming out and saying, well, what can we do? Little breweries down in Arizona. This guy, Wren House Brewing, called me and he's like, hey, what can I do? I have a brewery, what can I do? And we came out with a beer that has a QR code on the label, and it's just called Rep, because at that time the fight was in the house, so call your representative, and you hit the QR code, you put in your zip code, and it connects you with your representative. Right? It's like crush beers and crush the phone lines, whatever tag you want, up to, I'm on a steering committee that has REI, Patagonia, Rivian, all like big companies, right? That are like, we want to put some muscle behind this. We want public lands to stay public. Then we launched a Hunt Brands for Public Lands Coalition and had a huge name. Sig Sauer is on there, right? They have military contracts, and they had the guts to stand up and be like, we don't want to see public lands get sold off.
That's awesome.
Yep. Weatherby, another firearms manufacturer, First Light Meat Eater, obviously. But we started like building all these bridges and unifying groups and people and businesses around this common cause. And it's that public persistence, that we the people part that folks kind of tend to forget, that is literally saving public lands. It's about like being out there, public and loud, and it's working, but we need to take it to the next step, right? And maintain the momentum and stay unified. And the thing that was really interesting, right, is like we're up to the date, up to the absolute second that language is pulled. Before it's officially pulled, Mike Lee's team has his statement out on, I listened. I still want to sell public land, but I listened to everybody, so I'm not going to do it right now, is really what it says. And he's completely fabricating this story. He was told, like, this is going to get pulled. So you can do it now and save some face, or we can pull it and you're going to look like a loser, right? And unfortunately, he got the option to, like, fight again another day, which is brutal. But I get that information and I get to announce it to this awesome group of people at this off-road rally trash pickup deal that I'm out at called the Gambler 500, which is super cool. And then I put that online. I'm like, hey, thank you to the Democrats and thank you to the Republicans and thank you for all the voices that came out and the businesses and all this stuff. And then I was just like, set my clock as to when people were going to just start tearing each other apart. And it fucking happened, right? And it's like, you guys voted for this. You were getting exactly what you deserved.
Oh, right. I did see a lot of that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I did see a lot of that. Like, no, we didn't, stupid. No, we voted because we felt like the country was moving in a terrible direction. It doesn't mean that they can't also move in a terrible direction once you get them in. The important thing is,